Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Elle, and I'm back for another video. So coming off from its launch of the powerful yet attainable Realme C25 back in April, Realme is back once again with the launch of its newest entry-level offering, the Realme C25s. And it's time for us to test out this phone's gaming capabilities through a series of games that we know and love, starting from Mobile Legends Bang Bang, Call of Duty Mobile, and Genshin Impact. But you guys know the drill. Before we get to everything, let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing and take awesome out of the box. For the box, you get the standard yellow Realme box with its branding found on the front and on the sides, while you can find the phone specs written on the back. On the inside, you get the phone, the usual important papers, a free jelly case, a SIM ejector pin, and the 18-watt quick charger with a USB Type-C cable. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's go straight to the phone. The Realme C25s has two colors, which is water blue, and the one we have is water gray. It's a pretty ashy and muted color, and it sports a very simple yet sleek look, very similar to the familiar Realme C series design. On the back, this one has a textured and seamless design with some Realme branding found on the lower left. You can also find the 48-megapixel triple lens camera setup on the upper left, while the fingerprint scanner is found right below it. On the right side is where the volume rocker and power button are located. On the left, you can find the dual nano SIM tray with a dedicated micro SD card slot. On the bottom, you can spot the 3.5mm audio jack, the USB Type-C charging port, and the speaker grills. The audio quality is decent and volume loudness is pretty good. Here's a quick audio sample. While the phone itself is quite hefty, weighing at 209 grams, and it is 9.6mm thick. For its build, the Realme C25s has a plastic back and frame, while it has a glass front. Similar to the Realme C25, the Realme C25s obtained a TUV Rainlens Smartphone High Reliability certification, and it passed 23 major tests, including 10 daily use test scenarios, extreme environment tests, and component reliability tests. Which means this phone is reliable when it comes to harsh conditions, and you don't really have to worry about its build quality. For display, the Realme C25s sports a 6.5-inch IPS LCD display running at a resolution of 720 by 1600 pixels with a peak brightness of 570 nits with a 60Hz display. So far, the color production is decent, and the viewing experience on this screen is good for watching regular YouTube videos or Netflix shows. Given this phone's price, the LCD display is probably the way to go, and it works pretty well for its price range. Granted that it doesn't have an AMOLED screen, but the Realme C25s does have a functional display that can deliver well-balanced visuals, which is expected of phones in the C series lineup. Moving on to a quick rundown of the cameras, the Realme C25s is equipped with a 48-megapixel triple camera setup, starting with a 48-megapixel main, a 13-megapixel wide, 2-megapixel macro, and 2-megapixel depth. While on the front, it has an 8-megapixel selfie camera that supports AI beauty, HDR, and portrait mode to capture some pretty impressive selfies. The Super Nightscape mode on the Realme C25s makes the night shots even better in brightness, detail, and color. In terms of video, this can record up to 1080p with 60 frames per second, which is actually pretty impressive for its price. Alright, so now let's talk about the specs and what makes this phone a little different compared to its non-S variant. The Realme C25 had a Helio G70 processor, while the Realme C25s is powered by the MediaTek Helio G85 processor with 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage space, and it runs on the Realme UI 2.0 based off Android 11. It also has 4G LTE connectivity. Check out the benchmark scores comparing the Realme C25 to the Realme C25s. And for the battery, the Realme C25s is packed with a pretty massive 6000 mAh mega battery, and based from our battery test, this phone can last you 22 hours and 40 minutes of regular media consumption. But unfortunately, this only has an 18-watt quick charger that will take some time to charge up. Yes, the Realme C25s may only have 4GB of RAM, but if you pair it up with the G85 processor, this works just fine for your regular games. And speaking of games, it's time to test out this phone's gaming performance. Starting with Mobile Legends Bang Bang, I played this game on 3 settings from smooth, medium to high, with some light adjustments on the graphics and shadows. Playing on smooth gameplay was pretty noticeable. Character movement and spellcasts were accurate, and I noticed little to no lag or frame drops throughout the game. When I switched to medium settings, I noticed the graphics became more detailed and there were outlines on the minions and even Fars's bird companion. It was a nice touch, but sadly I did notice some lag in spellcasting and my aimed skills weren't hitting accurately. And lastly, when I switched to high settings, that's when I began to notice a bit of delay when it comes to the spell casting, and there were times where my character's movement would lag, which might have caused me to lose some games. Overall, I do recommend playing on these smooth settings to achieve a well-balanced gaming experience. Moving over to Call of Duty Mobile, I played this on low settings with medium frame rate, and so far gameplay was pretty smooth. It was hassle-free to aim down sights and carry on with the objective, and same goes when I played this on medium settings with medium frame rate. I have no complaints naman playing on these settings, and gaming experience was actually pretty enjoyable. Now lastly, when I played this on high settings with high frame rate, there were a bit of frame drops from time to time and winning gunfights were a bit of a struggle, so I do recommend playing on low settings with medium frame rate on this one. For Genshin, I started with low settings with 30 and 60 FPS, and so far the gameplay itself was pretty smooth, but as expected of Genshin, di maiiwasan talaga na may lag or frame drops here and there since this is a graphically intensive game to begin with. When I switched to medium settings with 30 and 60 FPS, I noticed the phone started to warm up and frame drops and lag were very noticeable. But when I switched to high settings with 30 and 60 FPS, it was pretty overkill at that point. A lot of stutters were seen and there were moments where the game ran smoothly, but it was interrupted by a lot of frame drops. Overall, like I always say, I recommend playing Genshin on the lowest settings for mobile players out there. It's more enjoyable and you're not putting a heavy load on your device. Well, despite the tough competition out there with other brands in this price level, overall the Realme C25s has some pretty decent specifications that can deliver a functional display, an enjoyable regular gaming experience with long hours of battery life for a pretty solid price. The Realme C25s is priced at 7,490 pesos for the 4GB of RAM and 64GB of ROM variant, and 8,490 pesos for the 4GB of RAM and 128GB of ROM variant. You can grab yours now in Realme's official flagship store on Shopee. So if you're looking for a new phone that can handle your regular everyday games, long hours of scrolling through your feed without the worry of charging, and a phone with a pretty decent set of cameras, but you're on a tight budget, then this phone is definitely the one for you. So, what do you guys think about this phone? Comment them down below and share your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out Unbox.ph for more awesome content. And remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because at 250k subs, we'll be giving away a free phone. So that was another awesome gadget out of the box. This was me, Elle, and I'll see you guys next time.